Diving into a record today that really sucks me back into a moment in time where things weren't great, where things were a little challenging. And through honest lyrics, through relatable lyrics, through great tones, through great just everything, this album was unveiled on the world. And it's, to me, is still easily a top 10 record of all time. I know that's a bold statement to say, but it's a really good one, and it's from our neighbors up north in Canada. You're listening to P is for Punk, and today M is for Morbid Stuff. Morbid Stuff by the band Pup up in Canada, a band that I was familiar with when Morbid Stuff came out. I had heard their song Reservoir. I checked out a couple tracks off their album, The Dream is Dead, or The Dream is Over, something like that, which is also a really good album. The Dream is Over. If you have a chance to listen to that one, you definitely should. But had not done a deep dive until I listened to Morbid Stuff, released April 5th, 2019. They had two albums before that. They had The Dream is Over, like I said, from 2013. And they had, or from something like that, maybe not 2013, but they had their self-titled record, Pup, back in 2014. Dream is Over, 2016. Morbid Stuff, 2019. And Pup is a very unique band with their sound. They have unique singing. They have unique guitar tones, guitar playing. It's kind of like this like melodic type of chaos that you get, and they're just amazing. They're from Ontario, Canada, originally called Topanga. So they've been around for a while. They've released multiple albums after this, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But Morbid Stuff is really a record that talks about, mental fatigue, burnout, just feeling broke down a little bit, and kind of like maybe even falling apart a little bit. The tensions are real, the tensions are high, and it's something that you can relate to. A lot of themes of self-loathing, anxiety, kind of like being stuck in your head and having like this inner monologue a little bit, relationships falling apart. And it's depressing in some aspects, but also cathartic in a lot. And when in 2019, at this time in my life, things were not well for me. Stuff was kind of falling apart in my life. I was working third shift at a job that wasn't my favorite. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't my favorite. I was getting next to no sleep every night. I had a lot of anxiety. I had some depression things going on because of my relationship status at the time. It wasn't good. I had a lot of like thoughts of what's wrong with me, what can I do to fix this and that. And this album was unleashed on me, and I'm like, I'm not the only one, which is good, because it's, you want to know that you're kind of in this together at some times, or at some point in the world. So Morbid Stuff is just such a great album, start to finish. And it starts with the title track, Morbid Stuff. It's an album that you should listen to from the beginning to the end. You don't want to skip any songs, and you kind of want to get this catchy sadness, if you will. Morbid Stuff, it's kind of like an obsession with negativity, and kind of using that as your identity a little bit, which I can relate to as well. I try to be a positive person, but there is a negative side to me where I do look at the bad things, and I kind of dwell on those at times, and you kind of just wonder like what's going on. You get trapped in your own head a little bit. If you verbalize it, people are just like, bro, what's wrong with you? Turn that frown upside down. Everything gonna be all right. Put on some Bob Marley or something like that. And Yeah, that's just it's kind of it opens up with this like little like twangy kind of guitar, and the drums just are a pretty big staple in this song. The bass and the guitar are there, but the drum is just like the beat there is really nice, and the sound of it is so good. The drummer of Pup actually does a really good job, and it starts with the line, I was bored as fuck sitting around and thinking of all this morbid stuff. And I think a lot of people do that more often than they're willing to admit. And you just think of it and you spiral and you this and this and this. So it's like this existential kind of burnout that you're experiencing. You have an emotional numbness to things. And I did at that time, which I think this is why this makes it so like impactful to me, that this record is like so important to me. Um, you can sing it after you listen to it. If you listen to the words, it's kind of like, oh, like what's going on here? It really is an interesting opening track. And it's just being stuck in those weird thoughts that you didn't think you were gonna jump into, but you did. You know, kind of like a good line here is, um I don't want to die, but I'm starting to think I might. Stuff like, kind of something like that. It's interesting. It's good. And I think you should listen to it. Definitely. That's kind of like the vibe you get. I don't want to die, but I'm starting to think I might. Um, which then goes into song number 2 called Kids. This was the first single, and this is really the song that got me more interested in this album. Like I said, I had heard Reservoir before, and I heard some of their other songs that I did enjoy. But when this was released, I kept listening to it on repeat. It just so good. You have that unique guitar tone to it, and it opens with just like a subtle, like kind of little ditty, and then like it pounds back in with a little bass heavy, and you got the solid drums again. Um, and this is their first single. People got it as a 7-inch flexi back in the day. If you received a certain like zine in the mail or something like that, which flexis are a thing that people do. It's a good way to get some singles out there, and it's a good one. It's like to thinking about like growing apart from maybe somebody that you care about, whether that's a romantic interest, a friend that you've had for a long time, or even like dynamics in whatever group you might be. I think Pop as a whole reflects on their band dynamics, and we see that in the release that came after Morbid Stuff, the unraveling of Pup the band, and it's kind of like introspective that way. So I think you get that a little bit in songs like this as well, which is interesting, and it's good to have this kind of reflection on there, because everybody thinks being in a band is all rock and roll, sex, drugs, rock and roll, when it's really not necessarily like that. Um, and it's just talking about time, maybe decisions that didn't go the best. It's got a great chorus. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. I don't care about nothing but you. Um, but then, it goes into talking about how she says she's sick of what you're doing, sick your little games are getting old, songs are getting way too literal, all that kind of stuff. So again, being introspective a little bit and showing people change over time, and sometimes that change can create rifts in relationships. I don't know that there's necessarily like a villain here, a bad person. I'm sure if like you're in the situation, you think you are the problem a lot of the times. But it's good, you know. It has a little bit healthy or a heavier kind of feel to it than the song actually portrays. They all kind of have like this similar tone throughout the album, a little bit with their interesting guitar playing. They kind of avoid, it seems like they don't really like lean towards the power chords too often. They have a lot of like riffs, they have a lot of, single notes type of picking going on in the background. They have some chords, of course, but they really blend it in such a good way. And Stefan's voice is just so unique and so good that he's good at portraying kind of like the overall vibe and meaning of songs. I think they do a really good job. This song was actually part of their network television debut when they performed Kids on Seth Meyers. I remember when they were on that late show with Seth Meyers. I did watch it and I was like, I gotta see these dudes live one day. Can't wait for this album. Song number 3 is a track called Free at Last, and it opens with a little more like distortion, a little like dissonance with the guitar, and then it goes into a little more aggressive singing from Stefan. And I think like free at last kind of means like you, just because you're free from something, a situation, a relationship, or a job even, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be super happy. You get what you want, and maybe that sucks. Maybe it's not what you thought it would be. And I think that happens a lot in life. All I wanted in life was a house, a marriage, and kids, and that. And I do have it. And that is all amazing. It is all great. But now it's like, I need a bigger house. I need to make more money. I need to, like, if I told myself, like, 20-year-old Drew, hey, when you're 35 years old, this is what's going to be going on. 20-year-old Drew would be like, hell yeah, dude, that's amazing. I can't wait for that. Which, don't get me wrong, everything is great, but there's still some stresses, and there's still some like, now there's like new wants or whatever, things like that. The lyrics here are a little bit of a bummer, I think. Talking a little bit about escaping kind of expectations that have been laid out on you, or realizing that you need certain structures in your life in order to maintain some sort of balance out there. But it's and then this is what he does a great job of that when he opens with that little more raspy, a little more shouty type of voice. But then it kind of goes like into like these ooh, like light oohs in the background, and then just because you're sad again, it doesn't make you special at all. That could be him talking about himself. It could be directing that towards somebody. Really, it's true. Like, you're going to be sad in life, and sometimes it doesn't make you special. And again, for me, when I was listening to this is like an inner monologue to me. And it's like, yeah, you're in this sad kind of state. You're in this sad moment of time, but like, ultimately you can talk to people about it, but life keeps moving on and you have to figure it out. You got to figure out what staples you need to bring you back to whatever normalcy or whatever it is that you're looking for. Which is a bummer. A lot of times you have people that say, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And then when the time comes for them to shine, oh, where the hell are they? They're not around. The Bleak albums, they always seem to resonate with me a little bit more, which I don't know. Maybe I need a therapist or something. Probably. Song number 4 on the album is See You at Your Funeral. Being petty, being angry. And even though you get older, it doesn't mean you're going to get less petty. And sometimes I think spite has a great way of fueling and creating really good songs. There is a music video for this one. It's kind of styled like a retro kind of like TV special. These dudes are really like creative, and they do a really cool job. And it kind of has this upbeat punk energy along with introspective lyrics, which is good. Again, I love the songs that are a little more like punchy and have like all these elements that hook you in, but then like the lyrics and like the ideas behind it you're just like, what the heck is going on here? So it like kind of like contrasts these ideas of heartbreak and bitterness, and reflecting on, you know, how to tackle these kind of sad areas here. Um, a lot of times, when you end, this is kind of like a breakup song. Essentially, is what it was. What's going on. It's not like a mature song by any means, but when you have a sour relationship, when things get a little bad, people get petty. It doesn't matter who you are or what kind of person you get. I get petty about stuff, and I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit it. And I can act like I'm over situations and over things that people have done as much as I want, but you can say one thing and actually mean another. And I think this is a pretty good song of reflecting it, and the lines, I hope somehow I never see you again. And if I do, it's at your funeral. Or better yet, I hope the world explodes and I hope that we all die. It's got that satirical, it's got that self-awareness of I am being an immature jerk right now, but I don't care. Um it's a fun song. And it has like such like a good like kind of like catchy chorus too. So a good way to keep the album moving, keeping the concepts there. And then it moves into the fifth song, which is, in my opinion, the best song that Pup has ever released. It is the greatest song on the record, and it's their greatest song in the catalog. I love this song so much, and it's so interesting. It's called Scorpion Hill. It's a story. Person stuck in a dead end job, has financial stress, has family expectations and family stress. And in this time, this is what was going on with me. I wouldn't necessarily say my job at the time was dead end, but it's not what I wanted to do. And it wasn't anything that I was like looking forward to when I woke up on 2 hours of sleep to go do. It just wasn't good. And I had a lot of financial stress. I had a lot of family stress going on at the same time. And I was trying to hold it together. I had two kids at the time that were relying on me to be strong, to be the anchor, which is fine. That's comes with the territory as a parent, but you're like trying to hold it together, and slowly but surely, everything just starts to slip. And this song does a really great job. It opens with this just strumming of the guitar with Stefan singing for a handful of lines, saying like, uh, up on Scorpion Hill, watching life passing me by in the pale moonlight. And I sat there forever, three sheets in the wind. And it has this really slow burn to it. And then it gets to a point where it says, it's not how they told you my intentions were good. You start getting some backup vocals. You get a little bit of percussion in it, but not much, slight drumming. And then it hits you. Full band kicks in and kind of works its way into like a more like up, up, uplifting. It sounds like an uplifting kind of song a little bit. Kind of has like a little more like rock and roll to it. It's like listening to three different songs in one song. You have this slow like build, full band kicks in, and then it's over time it's just louder and angrier throughout the song. And there's no metaphors to this. It's just working class anxiety that that is tough for anybody to deal with. And I guess you could call this like part of like of a bridge a little bit. And I'm going to read a lot of lines here, but it's like, for me, when I was in this moment, it was just like, this was about me. And it says, down and out, I've been on the rocks. I've been having some pretty dark thoughts. I'm on the brink, falling deep into debt, falling deep into drink. I can drown those regrets. I don't have to think. And then it says, now I'm working the night shift, asleep at the wheel. I was bursting apart like a flame from a spark, thinking, Jesus, this can't be for real. And that's probably one of the most honest and the most like relatable line in music that I've ever encountered in my life. Thankfully, I am in a different situation and I'm much happier, and I can listen back to this song and still really love it and enjoy it and just appreciate these raw lyrics that are coming at you. And even at that part a little bit, there's this pause, and then it kicks back up again. And then you get the ending stanza of this, because it really is poetry. Um, and it ends on the line, and I can't pretend to know how this will end. And it echoes out a little bit. There's a little bit of a pause for silence, and then this slow kind of calm music kind of brings it back in. So it's not the same way it started, but it's still quiet again, and it's just like this slow fading out music, and it's like, holy shit. Like, this is a song that just has like all the storytelling elements and is just there to hit you in the feels and relate to so many people. This is really just pinnacle of music and craft and how they formed it and did it. It's hands down an amazing job. Goes into the song number 6, called Closure. Another good song, and it kind of has back that similar kind of guitar feel to it throughout the record that you get. The song talks about how, like, you don't always get closure in situations, and you might really need it. You might it might never get resolved, and that it's almost like it's a myth, the idea of closure from situations or relationships. There's some lingering resentment going on. And me, I always have like thoughts of like conversations of things that will never happen. You want to have conversations with people to maybe say your piece, to maybe say like to maybe apologize even, or maybe just to try to get some reasoning from something, from a situation, and then you don't. And then you have to dwell on that, which is super uncomfortable. And if you have, hopefully you have the ability to kind of let go quickly. I think most people probably don't. And that's why this song exists a little bit. Stefan mentioned that this song kind of serves as a moment to pause and reflect within the album. It's in the middle of the album. It's kind of this, kind of reprise before it hits you back in the gut with some banging songs. And then it goes into number 7, Bloody Mary, Kate, and Ashley, which is a really funny name. It's referencing the Olsen twins. It's got this like kind of like chaotic energy to it. It's full of, it seems like, just like kind of jokes that you have to be there to kind of get the punchline, and it has a little bit of anxiety themes to it. You got this party energy mixed with existential dread. What else could you possibly want? And then it's got like, yeah, it's got good like backup vocals on this, and it's just got I don't know, it's just got such good lines. You're asking all these like random questions like, are you real or fake? Are you alive? Am I awake? And then it goes, do you prefer Ashley or Mary Kate? And who let you out of your grave? Can anyone see this, or am I just tripping? Like, it's just like this party feel, like a party that you probably don't want to be at, that you shouldn't be at, but you're there, and you have these, again, morbid thoughts, in a way, unusual thoughts that are going on. Number 8 is the song called Sibling Rivalry. Kind of like according to the lead singer Stefan, it's a wild camping trip that he takes with his sister. He says every year they try to outdo each other with crazier adventures, which often leads to disaster. Okay, complicated stuff going on with your family. You have rivalries in a lot of aspects. I have an older sister, I have a younger brother, and in a way there's competition for various things. There's jealousy in there, there's guilt, there's love. It's not like a song that says like, I hate this person and I don't like what's going on. It's just like, maybe it's like, you don't understand me and I wish you did. or I don't understand you, and maybe I wish I did a little bit more. So again, it has those honest lyrics on it, and it's got the good stuff that pup really has. And I don't really know how to describe their guitar tone, but it's just kind of like I don't really know how else to say it, but it's there, it's present, and it's consistent throughout the album, but it's always still a little bit different. They have the dissonance, they have like the kind of like non like smooth flowing type of chord sounds. Um, but it's a good one. I like sibling rivalry a lot. It is a fun song. Number 9, full blown meltdown. This is where things kick in. This is really the feel that you get is a full blown meltdown. You got Stefan just screaming into the microphone, saying "Wake up!" It was just a feeling, and it's just kind of having like this like it's definitely musically insanely different. It seems like it's a little more bass heavy. It's got this kind of like just more distortion going on, and it is the heaviest song on the album, and it's got this intense energy that kind of talks about that reflects what might happen in a full-blown meltdown, an anxiety attack in real time in song form. Racing thoughts, you're starting to lose control a little bit. You're self-aware that this is happening, but the spiraling doesn't get any better. You don't get control of what's happening, and everything is just like panic mode. And it's a wild song, and it's coming at towards the end here. This is song number 8. There's only 10 tracks on this song or on this album, so it's like holy crap. I guess like if you're thinking of like story structure, you could almost say like this is like a climax of the album, and then the next two songs could be a resolution of sorts. I don't know, perhaps, but it is what it is. This song is a full blown meltdown, and it really slaps you in the face, especially listening to the 7 songs before this, where they're not necessarily not heavy, but they're also not like super heavy, if that makes sense. They're also not like super fast, but this one, whew, right in the kisser. It just gets you. And then there's 11 songs, not 10. My bad. I should learn how to count. Bare Hands is the next song after that one, and it's kind of a shorter song, kind of 3.5 minutes, so whatever it might be, but it kind of goes back to the feel of Morbid Stuff a little bit. But it has like these triumphant riffs that contrast sharply with the lyrics once again. So they're really good at crafting this. It's kind of like acting before thinking, trying to fix things in an inappropriate manner, in the wrong manner, and forcing control maybe where you don't have it. It's just like fits this theme of trying to find lights amidst darkness, which I think we're all kind of trying to do when we're in these situations. And it's just like being emotionally exhausted and the challenges that come with that, holding on to relationships, holding on to yourself. And sometimes some people are better left behind. So there's that. It's there's a note here that says the song paints a picture of someone clinging on the remnants of a once strong bond, even when it's clear that letting go is the healthier choice. And I think I think I'm kind of like going through that right now. I think I have to reflect on some people that I call friends, and I don't know if they're my friends anymore. And they've always been around. They've been a part of my life for literally everything. And that's hard to let go of. But I think now we're just at a point where we're different people. And yes, the relationship was there, the longevity is there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for either of our kind of mental states, I guess. So they do a good job here. Good one. And then we dive into the final song of the album, City. This is an amazing closer for this record. We're back to this slower kind of feel, and it's kind of like this. We've had such an emotional roller coaster throughout this entire album with all this stuff going on, all this reflection, all this just mental exhaustion. And now here it is. We are just hung over from from this record in such a great way. Um, but City, it's like, you're in these crowded areas, you're in these big spaces, and you're kind of just isolated there. You're losing yourself in routine, essentially. You just keep going. You do the same old thing every day, which 99% of us do. And I'm caught in my routine. I do the same thing pretty much every single day. And I spend my time with the same people every single day, which is great, which is amazing. But sometimes it can bog you down a little bit. And, the line, I'm weighted down in the city. It's hard to live here. And I've been feeling restless. There's this battle raging in me. Don't want to love you anymore, but I can't help it. It's kind of think about that. I think about the city that I live in too. And I've kind of always been here. I've kind of always done it. And, a lot of times I don't agree with what the majority of the population of my city has to say. And I stand out from the majority of these people because I just, as a human, I cannot fathom how they think, but you think how you think, I guess. It impacts you. And I think, like, yeah, the city sometimes is like slowly poisoning me, and you're kind of falling deeper into this, like, where do I belong? Where should I be? I'm doing the same old thing over and over again. And even exploring the idea of leaving, moving, going to a different town, living an hour away from where I'm at now is a challenge because I don't know anybody there. And it's you have to meet new people, you have to try new things, you have to explore and do all that kind of stuff. And who knows? Maybe be better, maybe be worse. But a lot of times people just fall back on old where we've been this whole time. So hey, a good way. It doesn't really give us any answers. There is no resolution, just like the majority of these songs does not bring you this resolution. It's just, this is life. And that is a track by track look at Morbid Stuff. The artwork of this is awesome. It's this night, this light pink background, people hand drawn at a party hats, blindfolds, and knives. They're walking towards each other in a kind of a musical chair. There's 4 people, 3 chairs. There's some deflated smiling face balloons, and it just says Pop Morbid Stuff. It is such a great way, a great representation of the vibe and the feel that you get from this album, which is pretty great. I love it. I really do think this is by far an album that I will forever listen to, and I will never not listen to. They've released a couple of albums since then. So I mentioned before in 2022 the unraveling of Pup the Band, and I think again it's like a really introspective type of look. And then in 2025 they let out Who Will Look After the Dogs, another great album by them, it's just so good. It really is. They are doing some shows. They're playing, I think they're playing The Dream Is Over in its entirety, celebrating its 10-year release with Jimmy Eat World. They're doing that in Canada. So Jimmy Eat World is playing Bleed American, and they're playing The Dream Is Over, which, I wish I was a Canadian citizen so I could go see that show. That would be freaking amazing, dude. It was. They were on tour, I believe, with Jeff Rosenstock. They've played shows with the Menzingers, Joyce Manor. So they've been around. I missed them when they came to the Sylvie in Madison, which I regret. They played on like a Thursday. I had to work on a Friday, and I was like, I turned into a geriatric turd, and I said, I'm not doing it. I just can't. I can't function, and I can't be productive in my job if I'm only gonna have like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I just can't do that anymore. I can't do it, which makes me really sad. But they are on the bucket list to see. And if you are diving into the world of pop, I would definitely start with Morbid Stuff. The Dream Is Over is an amazing album too, and they're self-titled. It is a little more fast, raw, and kind of like scrappy punk. And this is a little more defined, a little more storytelling, a little more kind of different melodic take on their sound. Morbid Stuff is, but damn, is this record absolutely amazing. I cannot nerd out about it any more than I have already. It is just so good. So listen to it, support them, buy their stuff, buy their records, the merch, and spread the word of kind of like modern punk. They have a lot of punk sensibilities to it, and people in the punk crowds really do enjoy pop. Support them. Thanks for hanging out. Go check out some stuff. Hit me up on Instagram if you have an album that you would like me to talk about, or maybe, hey, if you want to be on the show and you can talk about an album with some oomph, hit me up. Instagram at P is for punk. You can email me, P is for punk podcast at gmail.com. You can listen to me in the Fox Valley in Wisconsin on 95.1, 96.1 WTCX The Rock. We play more radio rock. I squeeze in some punk rock and roll every once in a while as well. It's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. That's where I am currently recording and broadcasting out of those studios. So I appreciate them for letting me use it. And you can pick up merch if you want. You can go to the link tree, my friends, linktr.ee/P is for punk. And that will have links to the Instagram, the Spotify, the merch, whatever it may be, the YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Appreciate you all, everybody. And we'll be back next week with the next letter, which is N. And I will figure out who it's going to be by then. All right. Toodaloo, my darlings.